or the war for history. We want history. We want the good and the bad. We want history. So we'll talk about Joe Biden and Kamala Harris's war for history in a second. Uh, but before we do, and before we officially start our show, I want to talk about my war on history or war for history. It's my friend's show, Emil Amok, Lost NPR host, in the Tenderloin. Well, that's where I will be. It's in San Francisco, and other stories. A true crime tale. It's at 277 Taylor Street, the site of, well, it's a satellite of the Exit Theater in San Francisco, the site of the 2023 San Francisco Fringe Festival. And my show, the Fringe actually begins on the 10th of that week, but my first show is Saturday, August 12th at 7 p.m. So I hope you'd be there. Tickets are limited, so you can go to amok.com and find the link to take you to Eventbrite, Eventbrite. But I'm just telling you, Saturday, August 12th, 7 p.m., Thursday the 17th at 8:30 p.m., and Saturday, August 19th at 1 p.m. I got to talk about it all the time because, repetition, and also because this is free versus all the other things that aren't free that are difficult to, buying ads and that kind of thing. If you see me hold up my special card, I've got a card with my show in front. I don't even have one here in the special Emil Guillermo in the Closet studio. But they're collector's items. There's only like a couple hundred made. If you get one of those, have me come up and like sign something for you. Sign it for you. You can keep it. And then just like share the QR code with people. And to let people know about the show. I mean, some people don't know me as a theatrical performer, as a storyteller. They know me as a journalist. We tell stories. Know me as a podcaster, I call it investigative humorist because I got to look for the funny. It's not that easy. And, they know me as a former NPR host. I talk about all that in this comic one-man show about race, the media, American Filipino story, and, hey, even the recent Harvard affirmative action case I talk about. Kind of a new development, an offshoot development today. The Department of Education is looking into legacy admission. So, they're opening up the whole can of worms there. How do you get into Harvard? They're opening it up now. So I talk about that, and it's a fun show, all within an hour. My goodness, I did a run of this show in New York City, and I think people liked it. We didn't sell out every seat, but we had a good turnout at the Under St. Mark's Theater. It's the Frigid Fringe, and now after 4 months, retinkered, retooled the show, make it even better. And here we are, the San Francisco Fringe Festival. Saturday, August 12th, 7 p.m. Thursday, the 17th, 8:30 p.m. And Saturday, August 19th at 1 p.m. It's right there, 277 Taylor Street. Kitty Corner, is that Kitty Corner? Across from where Glide is, right there, 277 Taylor Street. And you can get your tickets by going to amok.com and getting that Eventbrite link that will enable you to buy your tickets. Tickets very reasonable. I mean, check it out. It's not like a Broadway show where you're paying, oh my God, I got to go to half price tickets. You'll get my ticket link and see how much I'm charging, and you'll say, I don't think he's charging enough. I don't think Emil's charging enough. I mean, certainly he gives stuff free here on this live podcast. I just don't think he's charging enough. You'll say that, but of course, you'll begrudgingly pay. Thank goodness. There's another Mega Millions drawing. Here's what critics have to say about Emil Amok, Lost NPR host. This is from Manhattan Digest. Not related to them. They say, exposes America's ugly colonization of the Philippines, along with other comical and often profound observations. Oh my God. They're talking about me? A must see for anyone who cares about human rights and social justice. And if you just care about having a good time, you can come to it. Yeah, I mean, wouldn't it be a drag if they say at the ticket at the box office there at AMC, you know, I hope you are for human rights and social justice because then you ought to see this movie. They say, I just want to laugh at Barbie. I just want to, I mean, I'm setting I'm setting a kind of a moderate bar here. But this is what the Manhattan Digest, not the Manhattan Project. They'll probably tell you to go see Oppenheimer. Uh, Here's another critic from the Orlando Weekly when I played in Orlando and did an iteration of the show there. They said, stand up, monologue, rant, enjoy trying to keep pace with Guillermo's brilliant mind. Funny, poignant, says the Orlando Weekly. And, I don't think she looked, she didn't look like drunk or anything like that I mean, I saw her, you know, when she was reviewing the show and she was awake. She had a problem with my accent, my Filipino accent. Anyway, that's in the Orlando Weekly. Oh, here's one more. DC Metro Theater Arts, because I did the show at the DC Fringe Festival, the Capitol Fringe. Charismatic, not the horse, just they're just describing it. Charismatic. Guillermo's life is one worth exploring. DC Metro Arts, Metro Theater Arts. And then one more, San Diego Story, which is a fairly popular performing arts web zine talking about the San Diego scene. San Diego Story says, excellent. Emil Guillermo knows how to tell a story, and that ability sets his Amok monologues above other solo shows. And, wow, so many nice things have said. Uh, so many nice things have been said about my show, and maybe you'll have a few more if you see it at the San Francisco Fringe. Emil Amok, lost NPR host, presented as part of the 2023 SF Fringe Festival, Saturday, August 12th, 7 p.m. Thursday, August 17th, 8:30 p.m. Saturday, August 19th at 1 p.m. So check out your tickets. Now, Emil, now I know you did all this stuff in the media. I know you do the PETA podcast. I know you write columns like on the ALDEF site, Asian American Legal Defense and Education site. But, really, honest to God, I mean, are you a performer? Are you what kind of storyteller? Well, I have been a solo storyteller since I think 2015, 2014, 2014, 2015 in earnest. Started studying with people like Charlie Barron, David Ford, Mark Kenwood here in the city. Have subsequently gone on to study with people like April Yvette Thompson in New York, Mike Daisy, during the pandemic. I studied with storytellers, comic storytellers, comedians. So it's not an alien place, the stage, although for the pandemic it was. But I put it all together and I do these shows, and like I said, I've done fringe festivals from San Francisco to Orlando, Washington, D.C., and I'm doing the San Francisco Fringe. I'm doing like a home thing. So check it out. All right. 277 Taylor Street, Saturday, August 12th, 7 p.m., Thursday the 17th at 8:30 p.m., Sunday the 19th at 1 p.m., 277 Taylor Street. Check it out. Go to amok.com. My website, get the link. They'll take you to Eventbrite, where you can purchase your tickets very securely. I'm looking forward to it. And, just since February, it was the first time in 3 years that I was out of this closet. And I'm looking forward to seeing you. So stop by, say hello, see the show. We'll talk later. Emil Amok, lost NPR host found in San Francisco. All right, the big story today, yesterday, this is show 564. Welcome to Emil Amok's Takeout, my takes on all things considerable. I'm the aforementioned Emil Guillermo. We're here Monday through Friday, 2 p.m. Pacific or thereabouts live, we come on and talk about the stuff that's happening, the stuff that you need to know. If you're a person of color, we call this the micro talk show, the AAPI. Because, we do try to answer the question, WDAAT, what does an Asian American think? Well, we'll tell you. And, I mean, there are a couple of things that, if you're an Asian American, you're stopping and thinking, what? What? I mean, one thing, the big thing for Joe Biden today is that he shared the stage with Kamala Harris, which is important because they're both fighting this war on history that is being waged by the Republicans, who are claiming anyone who says anything bad about the United States is woke. And so here come the anti-woke forces to defeat the woke, to defeat those who say, hey, look, we just want to know the truth. We just want to know history. We want to know what happened. But there are these forces led by the anti-woke chief, the governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis. And so, what Kamala Harris told him when she went to speak in Jacksonville last Friday. And they just kept it up. The Democrats, Biden and Harris, kept it up today because today, coincidentally, was the 82nd birthday. The 82nd birthday of Emmett Till. Now, certainly you know Emmett Till, right? Emmett Till was the 14-year-old young teenager from Chicago who traveled to Mississippi, was in some kind of store, saw a white woman, and there was some kind of exchange. It was like a greeting, but some people thought, here's this black kid flirting with this white kid. It was an affront to these men who were there, or to the woman, and that interchange between Emmett Till and the woman led to the abduction, the beating, and the death of Emmett Till. So this is history that more people know. The movies made about what's been going on. Also, the story keeps going through evolution an evolution as more truth is found out. As the people who were involved, admit to what really happened. And at the time, you can imagine, here's this situation in the South. Who's telling the truth about this then? Who's telling the truth about this when the people who were charged with the murder, after the body was found, the people who were charged with the murder were then subsequently put on trial, all white jury, let them go. So that's why there are 3 memorials to Emmett Till that Joe Biden signed a proclamation for, to establish that these monuments would be forthcoming and honor Emmett Till and his mother, Mamie Till Mobley. And one would be at the site where they discovered his body in Mississippi. Another would be at the courthouse where the all-white jury let the perps go free. And another in Chicago at the church that held Emmett Till's funeral, and where his mother, Mamie Till Mobley, insisted that it be an open casket funeral so that all the world can see racism in America. So Biden, today, this was the thing he did. He had a White House ceremony announcing by the signing of this proclamation, which would establish these monuments forthcoming. And he says, at a time when there are those who seek to ban books, bury history, we're making clear, crystal clear, though darkness and denialism can hide much, they race, they erase race nothing. Hmm. I know when I heard it, it made sense when I heard it as he was saying it. But as I'm reading this report here, though darkness and denialism can hide much, they race nothing. They erase nothing. I think is what it says. We can't just choose to learn what we want to know. We have to learn what we should know, Biden said. Biden said the National Monument will help visitors of all backgrounds learn the history of Phil and his mother, adding that it's up to all of us to stop hate. And this is the thing, when people like Governor Ron DeSantis is starting the anti-woke campaign, right? And making policy, approving policy by the Board of Education in Florida to make sure that there's something positive to come out of the negative of slavery, which is ridiculous, right? I mean, that's what Kamala Harris was objecting to. But central in this fight to preserve history, to make sure we don't forget it, we need to memorialize it with monuments. I mean, the South did it too, right? The South had Stonewall Jackson on a horse and a big fat general with a beard and a sword up on a horse. I mean, that's been the problem we've had the last 5, 10 years. We want to take down those statues because that's the bad history. The bad history that glorifies the actions that we should be ashamed about, that we should know about, but we don't need to glorify that bad history. We need to understand it. And so in the case of history like Emmett Till, got to make sure those national monuments are up and so that people can go and visit and learn the history. You know, you go on vacation, and if you go to, say, a city here in the United States, you walk around. This happened to me. I was in New York, just walking around in the spring. I didn't realize I was walking. There was Stonewall. Stonewall was a bar that many people say that's where the first protest that started the gay rights movement because of the way they were treating gays in bars and restaurants like Stonewall in New York. And they've got a little monument there, and it's kind of serene, so you can like sit there and you can read the placards that they have set up, and it's very touching memorial, monuments. These are things that help us remember history and make sure we don't forget. So, like one of the sites is going to be the Roberts Temple Church of God in Christ in Bronzeville, an historically black neighborhood in Chicago's South Side. That's where they mourned Emmett Till's death in 1955. The other monument's going to be at Grayball Landing, believed to be the site where the body of Emmett Till was found. He was brutalized and pulled out of the Tallahatchie River. And the third site will be the Tallahatchie County Second District Courthouse in Sumner, Mississippi, where an all-white jury wrongly acquitted the person. So it was good to see Joe Biden get into it. I mean, he was forceful and strong. Forget what people try to say about Biden is some kind of bumbling. He's not a bumbling fool. In fact, the Republicans are fearful of Joe Biden because they know they can't beat Joe Biden. I mean, already right now, they're floating this idea of maybe impeaching Biden. Impeaching Biden for what? I mean, for trying to improve the economy, for trying to improve the infrastructure in the country, for trying to make sure that everyone's life is better than it was under Trump. I mean, not just the 1%. The 1% doesn't have to worry about anything. But who's thinking about the middle class? Who's thinking about regular folks? That's Joe Biden. So the Republicans are scared about Joe Biden, and they just like to use the old, Joe Biden was an old, you know, they don't say washed up politician because they know he's done a lot. But they would prefer to see Kamala Harris. They'd rather attack Kamala Harris and paint her as a female person of color with little experience, and then use that to incite racist, misogynistic fear within the electorate and make her the new Hillary. I mean, that really is sort of their plan. We'll run against Biden. Oh, no, no, no. We'll run against Harris. Forget Biden. He's old. He's a bumbler. So they get rid of Biden. They can't. And so they're planning on running against Harris, right? Because her approval rating is so low, as low as Biden. But they're making a mistake. And just to be, it's not just run against Harris, but then also this floating of the idea of the impeachment. Just plant the seed that there's something to impeach. So this is the Republican strategy. I don't know if it's going to work, but it's part and parcel with the anti-history, anti-woke idea that DeSantis is starting. And, DeSantis is so far back in the polls. If they replace someone, DeSantis with someone else, what is their strategy? They don't have a strategy. I mean, just within the last couple of weeks, I saw conflicting strategies for the Republicans, where they were saying, "Oh, we're going to embrace people of color. We're going to get more diversity. We're going to get." They're trying to figure it out because they're running out of time. So I guess when you hear that they're thinking about impeaching Joe Biden, the Republicans are like desperate, running out of time, running out of something to like. How do we attack these people? We try to take away the history. We try to take away the books. That doesn't work. I don't know how we Republicans are going to do this. And Trump, that third indictment is supposed to happen sometime this week, they say. I mean, if you're a Republican, like, it's kind of, it's not a good time if you're a Republican. And but if you're a Democrat, here you got Biden very forceful, talking about, hey, history. This is a key issue now in American society and politics. People want you to forget about, all the past. Well, we need the past. We need to remember the past, the good and the bad. And then there was Kamala Harris, sort of setting up Joe Biden, because she was saying, today there are those in our nation who would prefer to erase or even rewrite the ugly parts of our past. Those who attempt to teach that enslaved people benefited from slavery. So Harris said today, she was reprising what she said last week in Florida, when she decried what Ron DeSantis was doing with education standards. Harris says, those who insult us in an attempt to gaslight us, who try to divide our nation by unnecessary debate, let us not be seduced into believing that somehow we will be better if we forget. We will be better if we remember. Yeah. And this whole idea that the Republicans want the standard of, remember, slavery, there was some personal benefits from slavery, which Harris rightfully called right-wing propaganda. What is the personal benefit? What is the silver lining in being dehumanized? That's a proper question. I mean, there was no personal benefit for being chained and whipped, called a slave, or not just called a slave, you were a slave. Being seen as less than, being seen as subhuman. But until the Republicans kind of figure out like exactly how they're going to attack Biden and Harris, this is what it's going to be like. We're going to see more of Biden looking presidential, looking for real, standing up for history, standing up for the middle class, standing up for those who demand civil rights, who demand their rights as human beings in America, who they trans, who they abortion rights activists, LGBTQ. So expect to see more and expect to see Harris out front as the lead person on the hottest of the hot buttons of the day. Because that is why we're seeing the anti-history idea being foisted by the Republicans. They just need an emotional idea that will split an electorate and make an electorate do something emotional, make them vote Republican. But if they understand the history and they say, oh, well, Republicans perpetrated this, well, we don't want to do it. Of course not. Oh, what about this Tim Scott, this smiling Tim Scott? He's African American. He's a different kind of African American. I know it, but if DeSantis goes and Tim Scott becomes the Republican nominee because Donald Trump is unable to, that should make things very interesting. Kamala Harris, African American, Asian American female vice president, highest ranking Asian American ever in the White House, highest ranking African American female. Things are going to get hotter, believe me. And chances are it will be historic. It will be historic. So, this theme of history, I talked about some of it yesterday when I talked about Ferdinand Marcos and Imelda Marcos and the musical, which is written by David Byrne and Fatboy Slim. It's not, there's all Filipino cast and Filipino money, Filipino American money, they're behind it. They are backing it. But I'm telling you, there's some Filipino Americans who just don't understand why enough time has passed or that now is the time to celebrate the Marcos. It is about song and dance. You might say, oh, it's not about celebration. It is more about telling the story through song and dance. But then it's a fine line between doing that and saying, oh, look at the dance, look at the song, and doing something that might seem offensive as if one were dancing on the grave of the 3,200 killed because of martial law, or the 70,000 people detained because of martial law, or the 35,000 tortured. I mean, the numbers are, it was not a situation where no one got hurt. Chief among them, the lead rival to the Marcoses, Benigno Aquino, gone down 1983. It'll be, oh my God, it's going to be 40 years. 40 years in August. So the problem with the musical, Here Lies Love, the Imelda Marcos musical, I mean, it doesn't really take a point of view. It's not really a satire. It's not critical. It's just a theatrical experience. It's like, it really is the empty calories of a big through thing. And they try to say, okay, look, they include a timeline so you know, oh, now if you didn't know about what happened to the Marcoses, or the Marcos regime, if you didn't know what they did to people, innocent Filipinos, there's something in the program about it. And maybe that's all you need to know, that's all you need to care. But I think it's important to know the history so we don't go down the same path again. So anyway, it's just funny how history comes up and sometimes the more people say, the more you forget history, it's not a problem. Just deal with what it is. Yeah, just deal with the present, forget the past. I know, can't really forget the past. We can acknowledge the past and move forward, but you can't forget the crimes of the past. And in fact, so the Marxists are even, they're still on the hook for the millions upon millions of dollars that they took from the national treasury. So this idea of a musical, it's a whitewashing that, how do we stomach it? How do we let it go on? And yet, I want to support the actors. I mean, it's an all Filipino cast, which is, I think, a good thing. I want to support that. And then, and before I really criticize the actual show for its execution, not just as a truth, but its execution of what it did, I'll go see it. I'll go see it in New York later. And then we can talk. And then, as I like to say, then we can have a discussion. We can exercise our First Amendment rights and keep in mind all along that under martial law in the Philippines, there was no freedom. There were no First Amendment rights. I mean, the country is modeled after the United States. The free speech, free press, right to assembly, all those things which were baked into the Filipino Constitution, all suspended during martial law. Think about that as we debate the appropriateness of a song and dance celebration of the Marcos Procedure. But I'm open-minded. I'm open-minded. I think it's going to be a great spectacle. But I think I will probably be there wanting to take a bath so badly at the end. I think that, well, you're in a disco situation. The whole theater is decked out like a disco. Anyway, the importance of history, once again. History is so important. All right, everything today is about history in a sense because the Filipino American team won last night. I stayed up late. Let's see, 10 o'clock, 10:30. I was in, let's see, so it was like 1:30 in the East Coast. So if you're like a late night New Yorker, you caught the game. They played it again this morning, replayed it. They're down in New Zealand. It was an exciting game because the Filipino, like I said, I call them the Filipino American women's national team because 18 out of the 23 on the squad are Filipino American. And the goal scorer, the person who scored the lone goal, is a woman who was born in Santa Clara, Santa Clara, California. Serena Isabel Talpo Bolden. She plays in Australia in a pro league there. Born in the U.S., represents the Philippines women's national team. Born in Santa Clara, she was raised in Milpitas, so if you know the Bay Area, in the South Bay. She went to Loyola Marymount, and she scored the lone goal. You know, the funny thing is, the United States, the Filipino Americans are good for about 30 minutes, and then they just run every day. They don't have the fitness level, and they're not used to playing at such a high level of soccer. I mean, they could be competitive. They're ranked number 46. They almost beat Switzerland, except, well, that's it. I don't want to say almost. They almost scored a goal against Switzerland, but then it was called back because of offside. And Switzerland got some lucky chances and won 2-0. It could have been worse. That was the first game the other day. Last night, the Philippines was playing a much tougher New Zealand team, but not as good as Switzerland. But you can see clearly from like the first 30 minutes that New Zealand had some ballers. They had some women who were on the Scotch. They were good. Their number was always being called. They just got unlucky throughout the entire game. There must have been 4 or 5 chances. And one chance was called offside because the technology is so good. You can see where if an arm is behind the defender, like an arm. I mean, then it's offside. That goal was scored against the Philippines, and they had to call it back. So that's a view of the entire game. But in the 24th minute, the Philippines broke the 0-0 tie, and it was a great ball. Ball went deep into the box, the big box area there by the New Zealand goal. They centered it, and Serena Bolden, she was one of those hybrid figures, Filipino, African American. She got up. She's 5'8". She's fairly tall for Filipino. She got up. She headed the ball. The goalie had it in her grasp. I mean, she had the ball, and she could no longer. She clearly was not ready to take it in, not ready to bat it away. She had it. She was startled, and the ball went right down, right through her. It was like it was headed so hard, coming in from the left side of the goal into the center. Bolden got up and just flicked her head. It was right to the goalkeeper, but the goalkeeper couldn't handle it, and it saw the back of the net. And so when that happened, it was like, oh my God, 24th minute. Now we got to play like 70 minutes of defense, because the Philippines is a team that if you got them 1-0, they're unlikely to come back. If they're up 1-0, they got to hold on. I mean, that's kind of like the defensive posture. And you could tell because they're like squeezing every ounce, every second of the clock. When the goalie got the ball at all times, the Philippine goalie, an American, by the way, another American she was great. Got to get her name. I think it's my golly. Because Olivia McDaniel. Yeah, she's the one. She was 25 years old. She I just want to make sure. I don't want to honor her if she's the wrong person. But yeah, Olivia McDaniel. She made so many saves. So between Bolden and Olivia McDaniel, they won the game. And Olivia McDaniel, they're both born in California. 18 of the squad is. Olivia McDaniel looks white. She looks like must be her mother is Filipina. Her father is white. She's got blondish hair. She's big, and she made a couple of great saves. And then she also melts the time. The goalie has the ball. She has got the ball. Immediately she drops down to her knees, like to hug the ball and the ground, and to say a prayer like, "Oh my God, let's hold on." And then she'd get up, kill more time. She'd move within the goalie box, and then she'd let out a big kick. And then the Philippines didn't do anything with it, and they were back attacking the Philippines. And then McDaniel would find another way to stop the goal. It it really was the pattern of the game for the remaining 70 minutes. The half ended 1-0 Philippines, but in the second half, New Zealand had so many chances, and they had the equalizer that was called back because it was offside. And then you knew that time was going to take its toll on the New Zealanders because they weren't getting pressure. And I don't know what it was. They gave 5 minutes of extra time by the 96 with 94:30 showing on the clock. I knew it was going to happen. I admit, I cried. I got emotional. I got because I played. I was a soccer coach. My kids played soccer. We went to big tournaments. My kids were not at that, super level, but you know, we were class three travel team. Also rec league. We did well in the rec league. Um, Imagine that was in the 90s. And in the 90s, of course, there was one really great Filipino American soccer coach, Tiffany Ramos. She now coaches at Central Florida, CFU. And Tiffany, she was one of the first of the hybrid Filipino American mother, Caucasian father. She was a track star since she was fast. She played at UNC. She was the top of the top soccer-wise. She played on the Olympic team. She played on the national team. She's an Olympian, and now she's a coach. She was a role model for many Filipino girls. And it's just a couple of years ago, some guys got together and said, "Look, there are Filipino Americans. We can have a Filipino team." And slowly but surely, they amassed all these just above college level players. Club players, professional players, a handful of them, and they got a team. A lot of these people could make their national team. I don't see any of these players. Well, the best Filipino, like Thompson, she's on the U.S. national team. We'll see if she gets a shot on the next team on Wednesday. But it's a great thing when the Filipinos get together and they know they've got the Philippine blood. They've got nothing to prove. They're Filipino, and so a lot of pride when this is the historic first victory, historic first goal, and historic first victory scored by a Filipino American. Classic, and yeah, stayed of late to cheer them on. So now the wild thing is that one of the teams that was picked to go all the way, Norway, is in that group, in the Philippines group, and they've got 0 points, and the Philippines has 3. So I hope the Philippines can get into the next round, but if they score another point, if they get to another game, that would be fine. I mean, everything is gravy now. right? They've won one game, they scored one goal, everything's gravy. So maybe they'll play a little looser, and maybe they'll play, well, playing better is a matter of experience and how fresh you are. They play in a couple days. I don't know who they're going to play, but they're going to be targets because people know they're not as good. So if they score a lot of, if the other team scores a lot of goals, to, to just to take advantage of that goal differential idea, and they load up on the Philippines. I'm just saying there'll be some teams out there saying, "Look, we're playing the Philippines. We got to win 6-0. We got to win 10-0. You got to get those goals. Got to get the wins if it matters when you advance, or if you're going to advance." And there's some teams like that didn't think that they were going to be in this situation. They're going to need goals. So good luck to the Philippines. It was historic. I cried because the Philippines and the United States, their history, colony, America's first colony, and to see the team, to see how the team is representative of that connection, U.S. to the Philippines. It's just, of course, right? Of course, there's going to be Filipino Americans playing on the Filipino national team. Of course, there is. So it was just exciting, and once again, the tip for people who aren't soccer fans, I think I like on YouTube TV to just watch the key play. And there's only like 9 or at the most you'll find 20 key plays, and you can just watch the key plays, 20 minutes, the whole game. Next, I mean that's how you keep up with the big tournament. All right, so we talked about the footballers. We talked about now. I'll talk about Jason Aldean tomorrow. I don't get it. I want to hear the song, but apparently people are reacting once again to history. And Jason Aldean has a song about like try to do it in a small town. I mean, he's being seen as a kind of anti-woke warrior. I think he's just happy that his song is number one and getting attention. But it's because of the anti-woke politics behind the song, which I think is incredible. And I think Jason Aldean should thank his lucky stars because, as he pointed out, he's a survivor of one of the worst shootings in American history, right? The Las Vegas shooting at that country western show. Yeah, Jason Aldean. I just think that I think he's taking revenge or something, and, or because his song was released like in May, did nothing, and now it's gone from several 100,000 views to several million views on YouTube, and his record selling it's number one or number two. Jason Aldean. We'll talk about it. I got to listen to this. All right. One last thing. We talked about affirmative action a lot, but the Department of Education is going after legacy admission, and Education Department opened civil rights inquiry into Harvard's legacy admission. An inquiry into admissions preferences for families, alumni, and donors began after the Supreme Court's decision last month limiting affirmative action. And this is from Michael Shear, New York Times. And the lead is the Education Department has opened a civil rights investigation into Harvard's preferences for the relatives of alumni and donors in making admissions decisions, according to lawyers for several groups that claim the practices are discriminatory. The U.S. Department of Education has notified lawyers for civil rights, which has formally launched the federal civil rights investigation request according to the proof statement. The inquiry comes at the time of claim. The lawyers for the group, Chica Project, Ace Gun, and the Greater Boston Latino Network argued that Harvard's practice of extending preferences to those so-called legacy admissions illegally discriminated against Black, Hispanic, and Asian applicants in favor of wealthy students who were less qualified. So the Education Department said in a statement that the Office of Civil Rights can confirm that there is an open investigation of Harvard under Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. We do not comment on open investigations. And Title VI is part of the law, federal law, that prohibits discrimination, exclusion from participation, or denial of benefits on the ground of race, color, or national origin. So this would be interesting to see how what the Department of Education finds. Harvard said in a statement, now we have to statements talking statements. The university was already reviewing the way it admits students to ensure it is in compliance with the law. Here's my beef with legacy admission. So I'm a legacy if I went there, right? But I'm not rich. And I didn't give a lot of money to Harvard. But would they be interested in my kid going to Harvard if he applied? He did. He had good grades. Didn't get in. Got into Berkeley. So legacy admissions is really stunning to me because by right, my offspring, well qualified, better qualified than me, should have gotten in as a legacy. But were they interested in that kind of legacy? No. And that's where the discrimination comes in. That's what the thing. And I'm glad they're doing this because what legacy proves is that there are people less qualified taking up spaces from Blacks, Latinos, and Asians that are less qualified but are much wealthier and in most cases white. And that sounds like a violation of Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. So we'll see. I mean, I just a lot of people, a lot of colleges are banning legacies. Wesleyan was the latest. I think last week, they decided no legacies. And a lot of times they just admit people by who they are. Their own, you know, their own credentials. They don't look at their parents. But there are some people who like that tradition. Oh, well, there's a parent. There's a parent, a grandparent, a great-grandparent. Oh, gotta let them in. You're only letting in 2,000 a year into the freshman class at a place like Harvard. And if all the legacies say, I got in prep school, I gotta get in. I'm a legacy. Well, not anymore. I mean, I'd like to see a little fairness there. I thought my kids didn't want to go to Harvard. Oh, feel like Dad? We talk about it all the time. Man, oh. But I did. I said, just humor me to test to see if this legacy thing is for real. And it is and it isn't. Like I said, I mean, qualified, did great, good test scores, but we weren't rich and we weren't white. They weren't interested in affirmative action. I may not have done well, but my kids, oh, they were good. My offspring. I can procreate well. All right. I think we'll end the show today. Hey, don't forget, huh? Exit Theater, 277 Taylor Street, August the 12th, Saturday, August 12th, 7 p.m. Thursday, the 17th, 8:30 p.m. and Saturday, the 19th, 1 p.m. It's Emil Amok Los Angeles at the San Francisco Frigid Fringe. Oh, that'll be fun. Oh, no. San Francisco Fringe, not the Frigid. The Frigid Fringe is the San Francisco. They like each other, the Fringe stuff. San Francisco guys. Yeah. Go to my site, amok.com, and get a link. Get a ticket link. All right, that's it for today's show, 564 in the can. Thank you very much. We're here Monday through Friday, 2 p.m. Pacific Live. You can check us out on YouTube at Emil Amok 1. Check us out on Twitter, the X. Oh my God, at Emil Amok. I'm not. I just don't want them to harm any birds. Also, catch us on YouTube at Emil Amok 1. That's it. Facebook, fb.com/Emil.media. And replays on amok.com. Oh, how can you do this? Oh, that's good. You know, I like to meditate. It's all about loving kindness. Showing kindness to your enemy. Yes, even that guy. Man, that was tough. I'm still at the elementary level of forgiving every. No, ultimately we have to. Because, you don't have to do it all at once, and you can wait till after the 2024 election. But loving kindness does begin by saying it to others. And so you say, and so as I wish for me, I wish for you. May you be safe. May you be happy. May you be healthy. And may you live with ease. Emil Guillermo here. Till next time. Mahal.